friend Jeff. We're going to have some fun
Hey,
today talking about sales call mindset.
sounds good.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
Good morning.
Good morning, my friend. So it looks like I got that one right.
Yeah,
We
you
got the
did.
intro.
Hey, it's our maiden voyage. Things are
Yeah,
gonna
it's been I've been coding and scripting all night, so luckily it all worked. How you doing this morning, my friend?
Good. You?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's a nice little cold, chilly morning here in Toronto. How's the weather out there?
It's kind of dreary out here, but it's supposed to be sunny this afternoon. I'm doing a fundraiser this afternoon on a golf event for a local charity, and it's always good to do things like that. So hopefully, weather's going to break, and we'll have a good time. We got about 250, 300 people showing up, so
Wow.
not bad, not bad.
Oh, let's hear a little bit about it. Like, what charity is it for? Like, what's
It's called Nothing is Impossible. And you could use that on many different things. And what it really pertains to in the mission is to financially help people who went through a catastrophic event, a loss of job, a death in the family, have children, they can't pay their bills. So the charity basically raises money to help them out in the interim until they get their feet planted again. And we try to help out as many families out there as possible.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. That's when communities can come together and kind of
Yep.
like lift each other up as people are going through different trials and tribulations. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
So kind of
absolutely.
segueing that nothing is impossible. We're kind of gonna go into the sales call mindset today, in terms of like before what you kind of do, and just kind of getting yourself not necessarily get the courage to make a sales call, but what are you looking for? So Jeff, if you're
Yeah.
calling me today, you're prospecting me. What are you looking to do before you kind of pick up that phone and give old Ryan a call?
That's a that's a good question and a hard one. To be perfectly honest with you, Ryan, I don't look at quantity of calls that I need to make on a daily basis. I look at the quality first and foremost, because that's more important to me about what am I trying to gain from this call? What are going to be the winning statements? What are going to be the losing statements when I do identify the prospect and reach out to them? Now, before I do that, Ryan, what I try to do is I do as much research as I possibly can, not just on the company in and of itself, but also of the prospect, the person that I'm calling. What is her or his background? Where did they come from? This way I can kind of talk with them about certain topics that they're familiar with, that I'm familiar with, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to see if we're going to be congruent off the bat, right? The other thing is that
Freezing up here.
there we go. I don't know what happened. I kind of went set. Well, yeah, sorry about that. So to get back to that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going again to find out about that individual and make sure that we're congruent, because that's very important to me. And the other thing is, because I was on that side of the fence for 35 years and used to get hammered by brokers. I hate brokers. I mean, I'm just being honest. That's why I became one. It's so funny and sad at the same time that it's always the same approach. Oh, I got the best rates. Oh, I got the capacity. I can do this. I can do that. Well, you know what? And I hate to use this term, but I use it all the time. You're not God, man. You can't promise and you can't guarantee anything, because there's just so many things in logistics that can work themselves through the cracks and come up at the worst times, and things are going to happen. So I don't talk about freight. I refuse to talk about freight because that's not my main goal and objective. My main goal and objective is to find out more about the company, the problems, the issues that they're facing, and some of the things that I've worked on that might be able to help them solve the problems once I uncover them. So that's the way that I do. How about yourself? What do you do when you make your calls, because you're in a different thing. See, I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own business. I have a partner. So I don't need to make a ton of calls and have that quantity. Like you must make 100 calls today, 500 a week, or whatever it might be. Again, I concentrate on the quality of calls, because one more thing, Ryan, is that an issue and you start ingraining yourself into that operation, a spider has many legs. And what happens is, if you can uncover, you can go to their suppliers, their manufacturers, their other DCs, and work from that point of view as well. So one customer becomes 5 customers or 10 customers out of one single call. So that's what's more important to me.
Perfect. No, you know what? We're kind of like on the same wavelength. For me, when I kind of go into the sales, I like to kind of look at, hey, what suppliers are they kind of using? And one of the oldest trick in the books, getting into brokerage, was that, hey, you got your first customer, call their shipper and receiver. You know, obviously one of them is not going to be the customer that you're working with right now, and kind of I find that it makes it a warm call every single time. Like I don't, for me, my personal mindset, I don't have like, hey, I need to bang out like 50 calls today. I bang out like 100. I kind of go touch and feel, you know.
Right.
It's really a mindset for me of thinking, okay, detaching from the outcome. Because when I kind of make these calls and I'm like, oh my God, these guys are going to pick up, or oh my God, I got the gatekeeper today. What am I going to say today? It's having that human conversation with people, just like how I'm talking to you. I talk to anybody else, and that's worked for me, is being that human. You're right. I don't talk freight. I don't say, hey, I've got trucks in your area 2-3 times, and because at the end of the day, when I used to have those conversations, they led towards price, and I'm not, hey, you win on price, you're going to lose on price, right? So I think with your personality, it has to show. And I like to I've watched your video, like you, with you being here and being live. Being with your customers, saying that I got my niches. And you kind of work from there. Like, for people who don't know who I am, like I love dogs. So like I work in the dog industry, you know, because I can, like sometimes it's unorthodox, but sometimes my intro email will be a situation where I send them a picture of my dogs and say, hey, I love your product, you know, and let's talk. And it's worked for me. So the mindset that I have is just strictly detached from the outcome. I don't get too much into research, because I find like research, you can get buried in research. Things I kind of like to look at is sustainability reports that we're talking with Dean yesterday, and kind of pivot off of there. So when it comes to like the mindset, what are some things that you do, okay, before you actually make the call? In terms of, I can just go on with me. I kind of like to, like I said, detach from the income, have my affirmations, which I've learned from Lisa. Shout out to Lisa. Thank you so much for that. Taking my dogs for a walk, and just to kind of clear my mind. What kind of things do you kind of do before you actually pick up that phone, other than research and the nitty gritty things that Jeff does on his own?
And it's a great question. And to be honest with you, I don't really do that much except do the research and the background on the individual, because that's what I would want a broker to do when they reached out to me. I don't try to, I have a very high confidence level in my abilities to do what I do. That's first and foremost. So I don't have that fear of making that call or hearing no or get lost or whatever it is, you know, because that's part of the business. You know, I look at it in a different point of view. Hey, it's your loss, not mine. I'll just move on to the next one, because you have no idea about my abilities or who I am. And the other thing is, that's really interesting, is that what I found out, a lot of shippers don't do the background check or the research on you, which is it's kind of alarming, because when I was managing, like $100 million worth of freight, I wanted to know who was touching my freight. I wanted to know their background. Do they have the experience to handle such volumes or these lanes? Because you're putting your trust into someone else, just like you're trying to put your trust in the person that you're making that call to. It's that engagement. Now, like I said, you love dogs. I was in the dog field for a while. I raised Jack Russell Terriers for 18 years. I won the nationals. I used to travel all over the country. I had 18 of them in my house at one time. But I got out of it due to politics at one time. But so there's so many different segues, and how you uncover is to find out the background of that person. I like, it's the engagement with the customers more than just him and the company. It's about his personal life, his likes, his dislikes, his family, birthdays, everything. When I was an account manager a long time ago, we used to have the CRM, and we would write all those critical touch points down, and we would remember their birthday. We would send a card out to them. The other thing also, Ryan, is that you mentioned about going out to your prospects, vendors, and customers. I kind of wait on that until I'm fully engaged with that customer and knocking it out of the park, and then ask them, hey, can I use you as a reference to reach out to your manufacturers, your vendors, your other DCs? In most cases, they'll do that. It happens to me a lot when I'm able to expand a lot more from a single call. So that's mine. I don't try to get myself psyched up for a call. I just
You just pick up the
pick
phone.
it up.
And I guess that comes with experience, right? Like you've been in the industry for a while, so you've kind of known the upper. And I know some of our reviewers are kind of like getting started. They're at different points in their career in the logistics. So drop in the comments, what do you guys kind of do? And I would love to kind of hear, like, I know for myself, sometimes I got like a pump up song. So Jeff, I'm not sure if you're a fan of baseball, but every time a batter comes up to bat, they got their number one song that they're listening to, right? So I need to get that mental, and I'm ready to go. I'm not trying to punch a wall or anything like that, but I'm just trying to get the motivation kind of up and then kind of coming from there.
And I can see that when you're just entering the field. And I think that's, first and foremost, that's one of the reasons I can tell you right now, Dan Deigan put this show together to help those type of people. It's about high performance logistics sales, right? So you've got somebody that's just entering the field that's just wet behind the ear, have no clue, whatever, and they dump into a brokerage seat, and it's like, oh, wait, what do I do now? Right? I mean, frightening. Hell yeah. Definitely not a spot to be if you're an introvert, right?
Oh my
God. Right. So, there's so many different ways that you can approach this. Not your answer, my answer couldn't be the best. I mean, it could be another one out there that's even better than what we're suggesting. But to me, as a receiver of those calls, I would strongly advise, and I've told people this, and it's funny. This is really funny, Ryan. Competitors of yours, of mine, reached out to me. I won't name the company, and said, hey, I got capacity. I got some good rates. If I can help you find capacity. I was like, what the hell? What?
Who are you?
A broker. Why are you reaching out to another broker? Do you know who you're talking to? I mean, it's just I'm dumbfounded. And I had this conversation with Dan. We're just shaking our heads. It's like, and what I did was I didn't get nasty or tell them to go to hell or anything like that. I was kind. I sent them a nice response, and I said, you must be new to the industry. I'll make it nice and short. I said, you should reach out to Dan Deigan. He's a great guy, and I think that he could help you with your sales approach. I mean, I was just being very, very kind. And they wrote back, and they said, thank you. And lo and behold, they said, this is my first job. Been in here for about 2 or 3 months. And I was like,
makes sense.
you know? So I don't have any pump up songs or anything like that. I just relate on my experience and what I would like to hear from a broker when I'm sitting in that seat. I know what I don't want to hear, if that makes any sense.
Of course. So like we said, like that comes with like the experience that you have. One thing that I kind of like to look at is put yourself kind of like in the shoes of like, hey, you're looking. So with your customers right now, like you said, you have the confidence, you can go ahead and do it. What are certain things you kind of look for in that when you're actually in the call, when you've connected with somebody to kind of progress this further? Like you mentioned that, hey, I like to be congruent. This call is not about freight. It's about me and you. Let's see. What are some kind of like triggers, let's say green flags or red flags that you kind of, okay, cool. Let me not waste my time. Let me end the call here, or let's continue this conversation.
Yeah, it's basically trying to uncover the problems that are existing. There's so many different avenues in logistics. I kind of work it from the inside out, where a lot of other people work from the outside in. That's why I find it so important that you learn more about the operational side of the business in logistics, so that you have the ability to uncover those issues on that, whether it's dock problems or freight bill payment, inventory problems, TMS, WMS, YMS. There's just so many different avenues in there. And again, it all depends on your niche, where you came from. If you came from college, what you learned in there, what you want your niche to be. Don't be a jack of all trades. Don't try to, know everything about everything. It's just going to work again. It's going to work against you in the wrong way. You figure out your niche, what you want to concentrate. You want to concentrate on truckload. Concentrate on truckload. Start asking them about the problems with their carriers. What's working, what's not working. Just so many different things. I mean, there's a plethora of them. Not enough time to explain it here, for sure.
Well, we're not doing an 8-hour podcast. We're not. Oh, I thought you got the email. I thought we were going for 8 hours.
Right. I mean,
I got my batteries charged. So
yeah, there you go. So I mean, for instance, I work with the Teamsters. I work with the UAW. I mean, that's totally different than a lot of people out there that didn't work with those kind of things. So there's so many other things to uncover in these big corporate opportunities that are out there that a lot of people don't understand or know where to look. So, people that are out there that, like I said, coming into the business first time, call up Dan, or even yourself, Ryan. We're here, we're available. Tell us your problem, where you need help in there, and I'll be more than happy to direct. I can give you more time like that. But, being under the gun right now and trying to fire off all the most important things here in 15 minutes, it's very difficult, because it's like a chameleon. You have to shed your skin, and you have to be a psychologist in this field, because you're dealing with many different personalities. So that's what you have to uncover too when you talk to these people, and then you have to basically be a chameleon and understand what they're saying and be them. Very difficult, very, very difficult. It's not a simple answer to this. It really isn't.
And that's what I love about our industry, because like we look at like the SaaS guys, like the guys who sell like software as a sales, and it's like they've got that one product, whether it be like it's going to be something for like DocuSign or Salesforce or something like that. They're selling an actual solution, but they can find out in the first 2 minutes of their conversation, hey, is this going to be a fit? For logistics, I'm kind of seeing on my end here that, hey, there's some customers that I can't do truckload for, but I can offer them warehousing. There's some customers that they don't need the warehousing. I can't do the truckload, but I can do their LTL. So there's just so much branches that we can actually look for.
So many.
There's just so much. And then even like coming back to like preparation for dialing, what do you kind of look at? So you finished up that call. Everything's good to go. You enter your CRM, all that fun stuff. Yeah. What is there anything? Do you go straight into another call? Do you take a little break? What do you kind of do in between calls to kind of keep that consistency?
Yeah, and the thing is that I guess I'm fortunate enough, and I'm just being honest, I don't make too many calls because I have that connections out there. And so I'm not a transactional business like a lot of other brokers out there or consultants. They gobble up everything, the one-offs, everything, hitting the dot board, doing all that kind of stuff. I don't really do that often whatsoever. Because what I do is that I work only high volumes, and then I drill into the back end and I open up another door within that same company, and I just keep on going down that path and finding other avenues and other avenues. And the key to success, at least for me, is that if you're knocking it out of the park with that customer and they're in your corral, they'll be more than happy to give you the perfect reference business. And I'm pretty good at that. And that's how I've grown my business from doing that. And I don't have a ton of customers, and the customers that I have is a ton of business. I mean, does that make sense? So
Yeah, no,
I'm not a bottom feeder. I don't take that wrong. I'm not a bottom. I'm not a
no, you
bottom
know what?
feeder.
Everyone's at different stages in their career, and
Yes,
that's the good thing, right? Because like when I first got started, I've been in this industry for about 6 years. But my first job, I didn't know about logistics. I started off as a logistics coordinator, learned the business, and then I transitioned to sales maybe 2 years after. But it was a situation where, like, when I first got into sales, saying that I'm gonna go out and I want to do 30,000 GP. That was the kind of target. I saw everyone kind of being happy. That's what I wanted to do. And I was like, you know what? Instead of me going after two big sharks that are going to be give me 15 or 20K each, I'm gonna go after 30 customers, give me $1,000, and 28 or 20, sorry, two or three of them are gonna fall off, but I'm gonna build the relationships. And I think too, when it comes out to, for me, like I still make the calls. So like even for the preparation between calls, is that when I have a good one,
yeah,
I can't wait to get on the next one. Because that momentum, right? You start spinning a wheel down the hill, you'll keep going, keep going, keep going.
sure.
And even when I have a bad one, it's like, okay, like it's nothing personal. And I think that's what a lot of us kind of need to understand too, especially getting into the industry, is that
Yeah,
nothing's personal. Like these guys are
no,
busy, you know. And
definitely.
how many times are you like, I like what you said too about earlier on about credibility. One of the, if they did the research on us, because I've been using this on calls and it's actually kind of cool, is that, hey, this is Ryan for XYZ company. Have you heard our name tossed around?
Sure.
And oddly enough, like I would say over 80% of the people are saying, yeah, I've seen you guys on LinkedIn. I've seen you guys kind of, and it depends, like if you work for a reputable company or anything like that as well too. So I think familiarity, because you don't know who's looking at your stuff, especially on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
A lot of
Sure.
customers, they don't comment, but they definitely engage. They definitely know, you know. So, have you had a situation where like that? Because I know like
Oh,
you're always
yeah.
giving data on LinkedIn. Like you had a customer or even a prospect reach out to you, be like, hey, Jeff, I love what you're doing, you know, and
Yeah.
let's talk.
Yeah. And you know something? And this is truth. A company's name means nothing. It's just a company name. It's the person that's actually doing the business. That's why what you said, hi, I'm Ryan from company XYZ. No, I'm Jeff, and you never heard of my company. I mean, that's it. I started this, 5 years ago, and I'm not I'm just a little fish in a huge pond.
Mhm.
That's all I am. However, here's my background. This is what I did. Here's my references that I have. I have a plethora of them. If you'd like to call them up, call them up. That's fine. I'm not going to overpromise and underdeliver on anything. If I tell you that I'm going to do something, I commit. I commit. If I don't like what I hear, I'm going to tell you it's just not going to work, and I'll be more than happy to walk away. I don't feel sorry about that or anything, because I'm looking for a specific opportunity, as well as my partner. Now, I just got a partner, right? Because my company is growing and I couldn't handle it all that. So I found a partner that we hit it off, and we're congruent. It's just the same thing with going out to a customer. That
Yeah.
congruency. Do you see eye to eye? Do you have the common goals and objectives that need to be met? Do you understand what that person is going through, and have you sat in his seat? Most of the time, the brokers out there have not sat in their seat, so they don't really understand the complexity. And you said it best. These guys are busy every single day. I understand that. I sat in it. And if you're in logistics and you're working for a big company, you are pressed for time, my friend. You don't have extra 25, 30 minutes, to take 15 calls a day, because you're getting blindsided left and right, up and down all day long. There's fire there, but I call it a learning lesson every day in logistics. That's why I loved it. I love it. Been in it over 35 years, because to me, it's not a job, and I love what I do, And so I portray that to my prospects when I do reach out to them. Like I said, I don't make a ton of calls, but I know what they're looking for when a call is made. And that's what I try to tell, the newbies out there. This is what I would do. It's going to come over a lot better than forcing something down their throat. They don't have the time. They're busy. Tell them something that's value added. And whatever you do, don't devaluate your value.
Yes. Okay.
Don't try to take them on board to say, I got my first customer and I'm making $25 or my profit's $5, but I got a customer. No, man, just walk away. Don't do that. How
And
do
I
you build?
myself, I've fell for that. You know, I've gone for like taking. I like to call it in my CRM. I like to look at customers like, okay, this is my prospects, and then I've got maybe 10% of them are like home run customers. You know, and it's just strictly based off the name alone. And I've learned quite like quickly that that's not viable. You know, like what do I care to say that I work with X company? And like you said, making $25 a load. Like at the end of the day, we're in here to get our customers' goals. And I always kind of say like, cheap freight will always kind of like have you working the most. So those $50 to $100 margin orders, they're fine if they're like crazy volume, but those give you the most headaches. And just coming back to like the sales mindset, like you said, you don't do much calls and things like that. How do you keep in contact with your customers? Do you have like a weekly call with them? Do you have like a monthly call? What is like your checkup calls? And what are you looking to get other than finding out, hey, if they're going to a golf tournament, which you are today,
Yeah.
or like their personal life? What are you trying to kind of get more data when you're having those customer call-ups?
Well, it does take time, and once you get into that engagement with them, and say you're moving one load, basically what I try to do is I go out to them, and I'm pretty successful that way. I ask them for 3 months worth of data, off season and peak season, so I get a very good understanding about their scheduling and when they're shipping, when they're not, especially on the RFPs when I'm trying to do a nice sustainable RFP, which isn't really sustainable nowadays. It's more short term and long term. And then I identify and we start talking about that. I remove the emotions from any kind of decision making that I do. I have a saying that I've used for many years. I believe in God, everybody else bring data, because anybody can say anything they want and bullshit you to death, and it's not real, so you can't help them out. But if you have that data and you ask for it and you sign an NDA and you basically identify the areas of concern and where you can give them some good results on the back end, that's what I try to do. But it takes some time. You can't just do that coming out of the gate. Sometimes you can, if they like what you have to say, especially if somebody else, like an old boss or someone, opened up the door and they said, hey, go to Jeff. He knows what he's doing. You get a good recommendation. Sometimes you can just go right to the meat and potatoes and say, hey, you know what? I know Mike opened the door for me. Listen, in order for me to help you out, would you mind sending me 3 months of data? I'd like to have some, off season and peak season. And oh yeah, sure. All right, give me a couple weeks and I'll get back to you. And then one thing leads to the next. But it's not that simple. But one thing, to get back to what I was saying about working from the inside out, and I feel that this is very, very important, and I hope this drives it home for the viewers out there. If you are new to the business and you are coming into it, I would strongly recommend, if you have any connections in the warehouse operations, the DC, I would strongly advise you to go and visit. Spend a day.
Yep.
Spend a day, go on that floor. Okay. Watch what they are doing. Watch at the height of their day when those trucks are backed into those docks and what they are doing. And just keep an open mind, and you will uncover so many things and ask so many questions when you see things so disorganized and stuff in most cases, that's going to help you to be more creative in solving their problems. Once you can identify that, walk around that warehouse, go into that office, go into freight payment, ask those questions. And in most cases, they'll give you some great advice. Another good advice would be, if you can, try to ride along with the driver. Try to go out on a local route, regional route, super regional route. See what these guys go through. I've done it a ton of times. I did network design and I did Chicago, Illinois, hundreds of routes out there and everything. Drove with the driver, did hub and spoke operations, climbed underneath a pup with a lift gate in the middle of a snowstorm in Chicago and helped them fix a lift gate. So, these are the different types of things that I strongly recommend anybody out there who are not familiar with warehouse operations, working from the inside out, do that, man. It will it will benefit you more than I'm telling you right now.
Oh, 100%, because like you kind of give that you get the step ahead, right? Like you've actually showed up, and like what I like what Scott was kind of saying in the comments and Lisa as well is that you get patience and consistency before sorry, let me pop it on intensity. I'm a big believer in that, especially when you're making sales calls and you're doing your prospecting. That motivation. I could go watch a David Goggins video of him like doing a 5K run. Hey, it's cool for like the first 5 minutes, but there's no way in hell there's no way I'm going to be doing a 5K run, right? So I think consistency, discipline is what kind of gets you forward, because you want to kind of make those small, coming back to the baseball analogy with the walkout, is that you want to bat singles, just bat singles. At the end of the day, you're not trying to go for the doubles or the triples or the home runs. Bat the singles, because you're gonna get at the end of the day with baseball or any sports, it doesn't matter how many home runs you hit. It matters if you win or lose the game, right? The true professionals want to win the game by any means necessary. So we got the 3 takeaways. We're kind of coming up on time here. Just want to thank everybody for kind of coming out. Like you mentioned, you got your golf tournament today. How can people reach out to you? Like I know we got LinkedIn, like you mentioned that, hey, you're always willing to be an ear. How can anybody kind of reach out to you in the best way?
Absolutely. Send me a DM through LinkedIn. Send me your phone number. Contact me. I'll be more than happy to help you out. I worked in the business for a very long time. I am not an expert in any one field from cradle to grave in logistics or supply chain, because I chose not to do that. What I like to do is learn a little bit about everything within that supply chain. So when those questions come up, I can have an intelligent conversation with that person and come up with a solution. But, if you need my help, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to, give you some advice and some help. And, hopefully that will help you out. But yeah, best would be on LinkedIn for sure.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Want to thank everybody for coming out. Today's actually my first time kind of like being the host. Hopefully I didn't make too much mistakes or tune anybody off.
Great.
Thanks, buddy. So we're Sales Chatter. We're available on all social media platforms every day, going live from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. To 9:30, 10 o'clock, whatever we kind of do. I thought we are going 8 hours today, but I think Jeff is a little bit busy. So with that being said, please like, comment, subscribe, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
In trucking, our motto is people before profit. Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs, dreams, and aspirations, then get a hold of Daman at American Logistics or Centurion Trucking and start designing your career today.